Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Women Speaking Sports. I'm your QB1 Star Mallory, and we've got another show for you today. I'm joined with the lovely ladies of Women Speaking Sports RVA. Steph B, how are you today?
I cannot complain.
We love that.
Anyway, right?
Of course. Miss Lisa, how are we?
Doing great.
Love
Thank
to
you.
hear it. Dr. Danny got the receipts?
All is well.
Love that.
You know she got the
Of
receipts.
course. And Danielle, how are we?
Oh, I'm great.
I see you.
Basketball season.
It's basketball season.
I think we have to go from you being the QB to the point guard.
Oh, yeah, the
Whoa,
point guard. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Danielle, I see you got your ref jersey on today.
I'm representing for all the refs. There's a ref shortage in case you didn't know.
Okay.
It was on the news.
It was on the
That sounds
news. It was on-
dramatic, a ref shortage.
Well, later on in the show, I'm going to throw the ball to Danielle. But the first topic that we're going to talk about today, ladies, are the Olympics. We've got two headers that are really kind of that's something that we should talk about as women in sports. We should go ahead and talk about Lindsay Jacobsville. She was the first gold. She received the first gold medal for the United States as a woman. How amazing is that accomplishment?
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
I think one of the things about her that I find interesting is how much, like she was telling her story. First of all, the level of commitment
Mhm.
to be an Olympic athlete, you just can't touch it.
Right.
And then when you watch how people go after 4 years, sometimes 8 years of training for this one major event, and you're either in or you're out, right?
Yeah,
So for
right.
her to get the first gold,
Mhm.
we're trailing, we usually trail in
Yeah.
the Winter Olympics. We're not the powerhouses that we are in the summer. So to go out there and get it, I think it's great representation.
Yeah. She did. Her event was the snowboard cross event. I don't know too much about, snowboard cross. Maybe I could get out there, try a little something, but I don't know.
I mean, you guys see Shaun White last night? So if you look at
How
what,
old is Shaun White? I mean,
35.
Oh, I thought he was like 45.
Well, okay, what's wrong with 45?
Nothing.
I'm just saying, he's still holding it up.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And technically, if you think about the sport that he's in, 35 is like the
Yeah,
45.
It
you're
really
not lying,
is.
you're not.
I'm just gonna say he got those good knees.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
knees.
Good
How does that-
knees.
Exactly.
He got Megan Lee.
Uh-oh.
But no, I think when you watch him and then you go back and watch Lindsay's run, two different events, but still that whole snowboarding thing. There's a lot of energy being exerted
Absolutely.
in that sport. And she went out there against some women that were really on point. Not that she wasn't, but I'm saying you mentioned age. There were women who were younger than her.
Right.
Too, but Lindsay is stellar in her sport.
Yeah.
I think she has at least one more Olympics. in
Yeah.
her.
And she's been doing it for 15 years.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, she was slated to win 15 years ago
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
and had the crash.
And why do they bring it up every time?
I don't know, Steph B. I don't know.
I guess you gotta have an
The receipts.
explanation.
There's
a story.
It's the story.
They bring up Pyeongchang for Nathan Chen.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
you can't interview the guy without saying, so about that fall you
I
had
know.
in 2000
Right.
back then.
Exactly.
They did it with Lindsay this
We
morning
still talking
on.
about Janet's wardrobe now.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah, but I mean, and Lindsay's fall was traumatic that year because she came, she was at the finish line. She did a celebratory move, grabbed her board, threw her hands up in the air, lost all balance, and wiped out just shy of the finish line.
Mhm.
This year, clearly, she was not playing.
Right.
She
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna get this clean win, I'll celebrate later. But the first thing that someone asked when I saw her on today's show this morning was, so, how did it feel to win after? And it's like,
Why are the after?
why
Yeah,
do
I
need
guess
to
they-
have an
right.
I guess they
after
want to
Well,
bring up
that's-
the whole redemption thing.
that's
It makes
a
for a good
Makes a good
story.
Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winning is a good story. I like
It
to
is a
win,
good story.
period.
So she was the first goal.
Yeah.
I just want to mention the first medal period because it was also
Yeah.
in snowboarding.
Yeah.
And I like it because she's from Connecticut, Julia Marino, and they talked about how she invested in her backyard
I
to
love
try
that.
to,
Yeah.
train and practice and to have a snowblower and all of that. And so, there's no real snow in the
Mhm.
whole Olympics this year in Beijing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all manufactured. And so that's almost like being on artificial turf or,
Right. Right.
difference on playing on wood floor versus.
Yeah, it's just a different
Yeah,
surface.
yeah. And so,
Yeah.
and honestly, I thought she was gonna be the first goal as well. Because the run that came after her, I mean, she was head and shoulders above everybody. And then the one run that came out, I think, you know how it is, it's like someone already has a reputation
Yeah.
and they do a great job, but it really wasn't as great as hers. So anyway, shout out to the Marino family. I thought that it was also, she was the first medal, but it was a
Yes.
silver medal.
Yeah.
I like too that what you mentioned about the snow and the artificial, everything being artificial. We're looking right now at the half pipe, and they were saying that it is so hard because they're shaving it down until it's icy.
Right.
Someone fell last night, and I mean he fell on his back, and he was you never see them react to falling. He was rubbing himself for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Every time they would show him, he was rubbing, and I was like, these athletes are really putting a killing on
They
it.
really
Yeah,
are.
they are.
But shout out to how the entire course looks great.
Yeah, it
The
does.
Great
Yeah.
Wall of China that they
Yeah.
replicated.
It looks
it's
really
also
good.
I think it's snowboarding. So
I'm
it's
still trying
fun.
to figure out how they pass each other in freestyle. You watched that last night, and the length is 0.9 miles. So you think of that in racing, when you're running without being on snow, and it's fine. I mean, they're just, racing, you can kind of elbow them off.
Right.
But you can't do that with skis.
Right.
They were getting through and getting around. It's something.
It's incredible. It really is.
It really is. Go ahead,
I
Dr.
was
Danny.
just gonna add, that I gotta find some money in it.
Go ahead.
So I thought it was interesting to look that they have had very little increase in what the monetary gift is for your medaling. So I think it's that gold medalists get around $37,000, $37,500. Silver medalists get about $22,400. And then for the bronze, you get like $15,000. But when I started looking, I was like, well, you expect a medalist to make a lot more money on, endorsements and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, some of the numbers that I thought were pretty interesting, Star, was, basically there's only been about 30,000 US medalists in the history of the Olympics. And it's not just the elusive goal, is that the big thing is to be on the Wheaties box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, again, some interesting facts about what happens, but I think the numbers that I saw is that an Olympic gold medalist makes anywhere from 5 million to like 80 million a year in terms of endorsements.
Yeah.
And that's also why you saw a couple of athletes, Seamus O'Connor. He's from Lake Tahoe, but he's competing for Ireland. You got another American athlete competing for Italy.
And one
then
for
Eileen
China
Gu,
too. Yeah.
Who is like the superstar. I mean, China, she's competing for China,
Right.
which
Yeah.
her mother is native Chinese.
Absolutely.
But when you look at, she's plastered everywhere. Louis Vuitton, Chanel, her face is on their subway stations. So there is that element of money, like you said.
And it's
Right.
strategic.
It's right. Yes,
She
exactly.
could have been it for us, but she would have been one of many.
That's
Right.
exactly.
She is
Exactly. She's a
big fish in a
one.
small pond.
Exactly.
Right, 'cause they don't have the opportunity to go and make NBA, NFL money, right? For the most part. So while a lot of people feel like they train here, they live here, they're citizens here, they should compete for us, I think you should take your talent wherever you can secure the bag. So
Absolutely. Take that lesson with you everywhere.
that's right.
Secure the bag. Secure the bag. Well, let's talk about another lady in the Olympics who unfortunately had her second disappointment this week, Michaela Scheiferin. A lot of the Olympics stars are tweeting about her, reaching out, sending their love and condolences, such as Lindsay Carly Lloyd, Simone Biles, Gabby Thomas, just to name a few. So it's awesome to see the support happening, but what is your take? I know we talked about this a little bit before the show started, so we do have a lot to say, and I already see Dr. Danny, Steph, they got the receipts, they're just ready. Steph B's got something, how she feels about the interview. Let's just,
Dr. Danny disagrees.
No, I have nothing. I'm gonna sit back on this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
One thing I would say, what a difference 4 years made. That she can come out, she has a health crisis, and the rest of the country can wrap their arms around her.
right.
Exactly.
So what a difference 4 years made.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And it's
People
interesting.
wouldn't have understood it as
That's right.
much 4 years ago. I agree
That's
with you.
right.
As the
And it's
now.
interesting that you mentioned Simone Biles, because I think we got our eyes opened a little bit about the experience emotionally for these athletes, what happened to her last year.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really glad that she was able to come out and talk about that. And I think the country did embrace her for that.
Absolutely.
So my heart just was crushed when I saw her at the interview, especially, the hours and days that they spent, years that they spent preparing for this one moment. And the interview afterwards, well, I think she was inconsolable for 25 minutes afterwards. And then she did this interview, and I just felt really badly because I think she was just at a loss. How can you explain something that you just are not prepared for?
They didn't really give her a lot of time to process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those athletes don't ever really have that much time to process, because so many eyes are on, so many eyes are on them. There's always a story to be told with the athletes, whether it's a good angle, a bad angle. It's the story. The story has to sell.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. The humanity of the individual is lost in trying to get the sound bite, tell the story, be the leading news. And there's arguments on both sides of it. You have people who, just like with Simone Biles, were saying, you train this hard, you work this hard, you're an athlete, suck it up, keep pushing. Any one of us who have either, I used to coach all-star cheerleading, and those little girls and big girls are putting a lot of pressure on their bodies. And you do often as a coach say, well, we gotta move on. If it's not broken, let's get it moving. And in her case, because you don't see a physical break, you don't see physical pain, you tend to ignore it and say, well, she's got 3 more events. But this is someone who lost her father in 2020. She's used to seeing him on the sideline. So this is the first Olympic event where he's not present. Her mother is there as her coach. Your 2 main events, you wipe out, one at the 5th gate and the other 5 seconds in. It's pretty painful.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them, the media, it's not going to change because it's the nature of media. But I would love them to see, them handle humanity a little bit different. Like, for instance, she was on the sidelines where people are still competing for about 25 minutes, like Lisa said. We didn't need to see the cameras on her, the girl is crying. Clearly mom wants to go out to her. It's a moment. And, I would just challenge people and say, let's think about it in a very simple way. How many people have started a diet and broken it within 2 days?
Me.
They made it 2 days.
Like literally,
Me. No shade, no tea, no shade.
I go back to Michael Phelps. It was the first time we got real live insight into the behaviors and daily requirements of being an athlete at this level. These people are changing their lives in ways that we can't maintain for 2 days. They are going on the strictest diets, high volumes of food that are like bland chicken breast and everything else. They're not hanging out with their friends. They're not getting to have a normal experience. Normal in the sense that most of them are training for this by the time that they are 8, 9, 10 years old.
It's a lot of sacrifice.
It's a huge sacrifice.
Right.
And then she steps out there, and when she said, I'm questioning the last 15 years.
I know, that's what really got me.
As a parent, I would think if you're a dad, if you're a mom, I don't care. As a parent, when your children are hyper committed to something, and when they're not doing their very best. This is someone who clearly has done her very best. She has not lost. I do think one thing she could learn is how to process losing, because even the GOAT is going to have a bad day. Right. And so that was the one area where I was like, you have proven yourself above and beyond what the average athlete has proven. Don't quit on yourself from 1 loss, not even from 2. But again,
I think it was a little raw at that time.
Yeah.
I think it was just like you were saying, like they didn't even give her time to really process that. So
she didn't need a press conference. And I think if you talk to her maybe today or tomorrow, you probably wouldn't get that feeling that, in that moment, it was like, she's gonna have a Biles moment and pull out of every event. That's how she sounded at the end of it. And I wish the media would give them a little pressure.
You gotta perform at this above average, at this excellent level.
Yeah.
And then when I don't perform,
I'm a failure.
I'm a failure.
Yeah.
and I
Right.
gotta Go out and tell the world.
The
Right,
commentator
exactly.
said, the commentator said disappointment
Hmm.
13 times.
Wow.
Disappointment, you know, and it's the weight of it all.
Yeah.
You know, and I truly don't think that most people understand it, because for the, you know, keeping it real, most people are average. Most people are average. You're living an average life. You're
So, I
doing
mean, so
average
that's the
things.
challenge. My European friends used to always say that Americans spend too much time having their kids in sports. If you look at the amount of time that we are supporting our kids in sports rather than their academic quests, it's over the top. And so we have contributed to those people who look like, you know, one failure and they're done. I've seen it more than one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We have a young lady in our family. She was a gymnast. She had never lost anything since she started competing. She won, I want to say 3 little goals or whatever, but she lost it all around. She never did anymore. She's in
Wow.
medical school now up at Columbia. I look at, you know, my daughter, she thought I was crazy because she was at her top of her game. All she wanted to do was practice and play and practice.
Mhm.
I was like, no, your whole life is not going to be basketball.
Right.
And so, I mean, she held that against me for many years, but I think it is up to parents and coaches and people. Yes, to compete at the top level, you're going to have some sacrifice,
Yeah.
but the reality is that you're not always going to be the best.
Right.
I deal with it with people who are in college. There's all of the kids who used to come to MIT, you know,
Right.
salutatorian, valedictorian. You're not going to be number one.
Yeah.
Right.
Go
So
to
I
college
think
and do
that
this,
it's up to
yeah.
us to try to help our kids before they get to that stage.
Yeah.
And have that big crash.
And I want to kind of piggyback on what Steph B said. So the commentator said that the word disappointment 13 times. And I know for me, like when I hear that word disappointment, and I feel bad for saying it just a few minutes ago, about Michaela, but that word carries so much weight. People internalize that word for so long. Like I remember the first time, and you know, my sister and I, like, you know, we keep a tally. My mom has told me she was disappointed in me one time, and I just remember I did make a really big mistake. And I did. To be fair, I made a really big mistake. But I just remember like how much that word meant. And for her to keep for her to keep hearing it must have been just so detrimental.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and yeah, it's a different time, you know, when the Carolis were running at, you know, Olympic gymnastics, you probably would have heard worse than the word disappointment. You know, we changed, we all have really changed societally as how we perceive things. So, you know, mental health, Danielle made a good point. We wouldn't have been talking about it for 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When Michael Phelps came out, people were like, what? You know, it was kind of like, okay. And then it took the Simone Biles situation and her being so blatantly confident that she was going to do what she needed to do for herself. Most athletes don't do that.
Yeah.
They go out there, they're hurting, they know they shouldn't compete, they're going to do it because people are expecting them to, and things like that. And I do believe that the way they spoke about it in the immediate few minutes after the race was a little bit overdone. They could have moved it on.
Overdone.
I want to mention, I don't want to leave what Dr. Ann said when she talked about the culture of how we raise athletes.
Yeah.
So this week there was a news story, we'll keep it in Olympics, but I want to bring up the Indiana Hoosiers basketball team.
Yeah.
So Coach Whitson suspended
Right.
5 players. And here's what he said: I'm building a culture. We have no idea, but he is building a program, and he is building a culture, and he is willing to sacrifice the win to build a culture.
That's good.
So while I'm not a Hoosiers fan, I have much respect for
Absolutely.
the coach who was willing to sacrifice the win.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now that going along with Dr. Danny said, that's a better culture.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you do
And that's
have
a culture
to
I
do
can get
something
behind.
After athletics, right?
Yeah.
Your niece goes off to, or your family member goes off to medical school, and you're absolutely right. And again, just seeing it, you brush off cheerleading, you're like, oh, it's cheerleading. You get into the all-star cheer world, and these parents, the level of pressure, for their daughter to be the star of the show, the best tumbler, the one that gets the most attention, and that's a $16 billion sport. Everybody wants attention, and so the parents are really a bigger part of the problem than the kids. A lot of times.
I know. Have you ever been to an AAU basketball game?
Yeah.
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 I used to have closed practices as a cheer coach. I would have closed practices when we were in the all-star world because parents really are the toxic element a lot of times in these schools.
Yeah, they are.
Coaches who said, I don't even recruit players.
The parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
A word.
I've heard that.
A word.
Yes, choose the parents, you can coach the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Choose the
Yeah,
parent. Choose the
exactly.
parent. So I'm gonna take this time to go ahead and kind of dribble the ball over to Danielle
Oh,
because,
good
honey, it is
start.
basketball
Oh.
season, baby. Working on my vocab.
Greatest coach of all time, Coach Bennett.
Yeah.
Cavaliers, wah baby.
Yeah.
They can lose the rest of the season. I don't even care. It
You're
was a
lying.
great
It was
win.
no beating Duke
You're lying.
in
They beat Duke in Duke's house.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
now whose house?
Oh,
Wow.
that's
Okay.
Cameron crazy.
Whose house?
Dr. Danny, get his
What-
red
what-
shirt off.
but
She
while
acting up
I'm
today.
not a Dookie fan,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I am a Wolf Packer, but my team, when it comes to the ACC, has always been Carolina. I just think at the end of, everything that happened for the Carolina Duke game, they put it all in there, even though it was kind of like a blowout. But my point is, Coach K probably was, okay, this is my last year.
Right.
Y'all gave me the Carolina win.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
good.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not to take anything away from Coach K. He is an amazing coach.
Mhm.
He has a great program at Duke. He is gonna go out on a high.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the ones did what they needed to do.
And also,
Yes,
can
yes,
I
they
just
did.
say
Can
too,
we just
Bennett
go
has
ahead
a great
and get
culture
everyone
in
to get
UVA.
quiet so she
He
can say
really has a
that?
great culture, which
Yeah.
I really appreciate.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, go back to culture. You are truly a scholar athlete
Oh, yeah.
when you play at UVA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we know where she.
Yeah, we know where she is.
Matriculating.
But can we talk
Her
about what's
stomping
going on down
ground.
in Auburn?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all
Come
don't,
on now.
I mean.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No,
Take
no,
it
no,
notes.
no,
Let me know,
that's
please.
not-
Basketball or football, it's just hot on both ends.
Right.
They lose a game that they probably shouldn't have lost.
Mhm.
Was it Kentucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you turn around and the football coach, scandalous.
It's a lot.
And listen,
Something's
you
in
know
the
how
water.
much he's gonna get out of this? At least $17.7 million, because they just want to get rid of him that bad.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
mean,
sorry
maybe
they
the
lost
league.
in
And this
basketball to
is college
Arkansas.
ball
Though.
at a state college.
Okay, but-
Can y'all help me out with
So
what?
that's 17.7 mil. So remember last week we were talking about Brian Flores and how he was being paid or underpaid? That just goes to.
Yeah, that speaks volumes.
Absolutely.
Brian's little
$3
$3
million.
million.
Yeah.
That
You don't
speaks
want to get
volumes.
out of bed for
I-
$3 million.
exactly.
You know, Coach K would never.
No.
I do want to recognize, I'm gonna go off this for just a second.
Okay.
Richard Bland College, down in Denver,
Okay,
has
local.
their inaugural baseball season this year.
Mhm.
So,
Really?
local coach, the Godwin baseball coach is now Richard Bland head baseball.
Godwin has a great history of baseball wins,
That's right,
so that's
that's
good.
right, that's right. So they recruited a ton of local boys from around around the area to go play for them. So they are kicking off their inaugural baseball season. I think they've had some, shoot, I can't even think right now. They've had some games so far, not division.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's really good.
awesome.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I gotta give it credit. Virginia sports has really been on the come up.
Yeah.
And, I think it started back when VCU, made their debut and got to show out.
I don't know, UVA back in the day too. They
Well,
were
I mean,
considered.
yeah, wait a minute, wait a minute.
I'm old.
I'm gonna say, you put a Cowboys fan in the room, they're always gonna go to throwback win.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, I'm ancient. I'm this old fossil here, so I can go back. I remember. At least I can remember.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Virginia has really come up, not just to throw it out there, but Radford. I went to Radford and
They have a
Just
great,
throwing out
you know,
what?
they
No,
have a-
Radford is
they have
good
a
for
good girl-
volleyball.
and
A
girls
good,
basketball
yeah,
team too.
good volleyball, good girls basketball. What? Danielle, we don't have a pool, girl. What are you talking about? You can find it on the roof or something. Well, speaking of Virginia, I do want to take this time to thank our local sponsor. Jerry Howard is actually here with us tonight. And thank you so much, Rob White, Mike King Biz, and the Hilton for always hosting us and showing us the best hospitality.
Yes.
Dasha, we love you. So before we wrap up officially, you know, my BFF, Joe Burrow, is taking the field.
Here we go.
One last time this week. So real quick, ladies, Super Bowl predictions. I'm not going to say mine because I really feel as if my actions have really spoken for themselves.
We know.
We know.
I think that he's gonna be sacked more times.
Oh, girl.
I kind of agree with you,
We
Jen.
might need to look for a replacement.
That-
3 field goals.
That offensive line is scary.
Dr. Dana, we might need to
So
look for a
Dr. Danny and I are
replacement.
definitely rooting for the Rams.
Rams all the
Rams,
way.
Rams.
baby.
And Danielle.
Vegas, he got 14 under.
Yes,
That's
yes,
not
they
bad.
are saying 14
I'm gonna
under.
take the underdog.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the
Yeah.
Oh, there you
Welcome.
go.
Welcome. Who Dey Nation. Who Dey.
That's what you got, Lisa.
Who Dey.
The Rams. I don't have the confidence in the offensive line. I'm sorry.
It's
Sorry.
fine. It's fine.
It's legal to bet. Do we want to make a
Oh,
small
yeah,
wager?
it
A
is.
little wager here.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Bengals win the Super Bowl. Danielle and I will bring a sweet treat for y'all for next week.
Didn't we just talk about Giants? But
Okay.
yes, I'll
And
take
then
it.
if the Rams win, well, you know, vice versa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever team
All right.
loses
Okay.
brings
Yeah, I
brings
can
a
do
sweet.
that.
Okay.
do that.
That's
Okay.
a friendly wager.
That's a
Dr.
friendly
Danny
wager.
and I like money, but we'll do that.
Okay. Well, I'm not.
We are here.
Yeah, I
That's right.
knew.
You see, it's all about
That's right.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
money-
bring me my coins.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Money. But sweets. But
Sweet,
sweets.
But
But
we'll
sweets.
we'll start
do that, yeah.
start being the voice of reason.
I'm trying
to.
It's
right.
love.
right.
It's love.
And we're all
My-
winners if we all get dessert. Right?
Yes.
So
That's
just wanna
true.
say, Star,
Yes.
in the group chat,
Uh-huh.
I want you to be as vocal as you
Okay, well, you guys win.
win.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You know what, ladies?
Look, I want y'all to have to wear Cooper Cup jerseys.
Okay, well, don't worry about me.
Yeah,
Don't
you
worry
talked
about me.
my
But if you guys
boyfriend.
want to go ahead and rewrite those apologies, if you want to rewrite those apologies, maybe reword, change a
We
couple
sold you
things.
short the
couple
first
dates.
time.
Yeah, we
were wrong.
did.
We bowed to the star, but not this time.
Okay, well, we'll see. Well, thank you all so much for tuning into Women Speaking Sports. And next week, we have a wonderful thing coming your way. Women Speaking Sports RVA will now be an hour on 106.1 FM. We are so excited.
Yay.
Mike is so excited to spend more time with us. We honestly just can't wait.
He looks
Thank you all. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for listening. I'm your QB1 Star Mallory. We'll see you next week.
All right.
All right. That